Hello, everyone. Welcome. So happy to have you join us. We'll get started in just a minute as everyone jumps on here. Welcome, everyone. As soon as you jump on, just give me a like or a heart or let me know that you're able to hear me. Please do share this. This is a really exciting opportunity for me to be able to support all of you in this way during these trying times. So hi Raquel, thanks for joining. Please share or tag people that you'd like to see join. So a couple of things. Happy Friday to you, Raquel, as well. So a couple things as we get started that I want to let everyone know about. The first one is the online community that we have created for all of you to support one another. And at the end of this video, that may feel even more relevant based on what we're going to be talking about. So that is the Optimizing Wellness community on Facebook. So you can go right through the Dr. Lara Hill DC page and find through the groups section of the page and find it that way, or just search for Optimizing Wellness. We'll also drop that link into the comments here too so that you can find and connect with it straight through there. We will be continuing to release content both through things like Facebook Live and also as a way of creating more community amidst social distancing, more community and connection amidst social distancing, actually having in-person virtual community classes, workshops, programs, webinars, where we can actually hear each other's voices, see each other's faces, and get to have that real feeling of connection, because that's so important right now. So thank you so much for joining. So a couple of things when we're talking about thriving and resiliency, really, we're talking about thriving during, thank you for posting that, that group. So that's already in the comments. Thanks for posting that, Raquel. And so a couple of things. So when we're talking about thriving and when we're talking about resiliency, really resiliency is the ticket to thriving during difficult times. So there's a number of different ways of thinking and looking at this. We're in difficult times, and I do not want anyone to circumnavigate the fact that we are in difficult times. So this is not about transcending the difficult times that we're in so that we don't have to feel with or be with the experience that we're in. Being with and feeling the experience that we are in as it is essential. Bringing conscious time presence to the reality that we're in is essential. So I really want to emphasize that we're not talking about thriving as a way of just saying, oh, it's all good, everything's going to be fine. So we talk about things like having a positive mental attitude, about staying positive. And again, it's really easy to say, oh, everything's going to be fine, it's all going to work out, or, any of these sort of more awakened, conscious words that we can be using, and realizing that when we're doing that without also being with what is, that can be very detrimental to our own well-being as well as our relationships and our ability to be with other people as they are in, at times, in this experience, deep suffering. So as people who are compassionate and caring about other people in the world, as well as compassionate and caring about ourselves, the more that we can be present with what is, the more that we will have actually ultimately the ability to, amidst that, move to and through thrival as well. Thank you for joining Jerry and Wendy Rump. Great to have you on the video. Okay, so two most essential things when we're talking about resiliency and thrival. And the two most essential tools that you can use to move from a place of survival to thrival are purpose and gratitude. And so before I talk a little bit more about that, as well as the other content, I also just want to clarify that survival is what a mode that we're in right now. And just to re-emphasize in a different way that fact, you should be taking care of yourself. You should be focusing on some of those basic survival needs and aspects that you have. So I don't want to discourage anyone, again, from just going to, oh, well, let's find out how to thrive during this time without also taking care of your basic survival needs. That is a part of resilience as well, is thinking proactively, thinking ahead, not getting caught up in the sort of mass mindset of survival being the ultimate, but to take that as a part of the bigger picture. Okay, purpose and gratitude. So purpose is really about your why in the world, and gratitude is about recognizing the things in your world that make you feel grateful, and really consciously invoking that feeling, that energy of gratitude. That's going to be something that's going to bring in a different source of energy, so that even when we're in challenging times, we still can find those things that we're grateful for. And that's not a way of dishonoring the times that we're in, but by adding to it, by supplementing it and ourselves to give us more strength, more positive energy that we can use to support us. Okay. So the other piece, and this is part of purpose and gratitude, is community and connection amidst social distancing. So one of the most important things for you to do with that community and connection amidst social distancing is a couple of things. Obviously, surrounding yourself in whatever ways that you can with community, with positive, supportive community. They're putting good information out there that you feel fulfilled and uplifted when you have that information. Again, not circumnavigating, but recognizing, acknowledging, and uplifting. Okay, number two, realizing, and this may be the most important thing I say in this entire video, realizing the difference, the distinction between people and community. And this is an especially important distinction when we are in the world of online social media and online presence. Everyone on the planet is on the internet right now. Everyone who has a computer is on the internet right now, okay? And so there are a lot of people on the internet. And so we are a part of a global community, recognizing that, and also realizing that community is based on connection. Community is based on connection, okay? And connection comes from intimacy, vulnerability, and courage, and the courage to be vulnerable and connected with people. Okay, so if you are, for example, on your Facebook news feed scrolling and reading other people's posts, even if those people are in real life your good friends, that is not the same as feeling a sense of community by simply passively observing the posts that they have, that they're posting. Okay, so real community versus people. The evidence is out, it's been out for a long time, that actually the more time that we spend on social media, the more depressed we become. So social media itself is not equivalent to feeling a sense of community and connection. This is not the way of reaching out and connecting with people. The way of reaching out and connecting people is a phone call, possibly a text message, possibly a Facebook message, you know, definitely a video call, something along those lines. But really actually reaching out and making those connections with people versus just, you know, kind of passively observing a community that we're a part of. So now I use this this word of this vulnerability piece, which now vulnerability has a couple of different meanings, right? Vulnerability can mean you are making yourself vulnerable. This is a risk, and it has a negative connotation with it. And that is worth recognizing that vulnerability does have a risk to it. And then there's the vulnerability that fosters intimacy, fosters connection and deeper relationships. And that's the kind of vulnerability that I'm talking about. So it is up to you to make that distinction and to know who and when it's appropriate and conducive to those relationships to express vulnerability, and when it's not. One resource that I recommend for this, and she speaks amazing terms in regards to vulnerability and resilience, is Brene Brown. I highly recommend watching her TED Talk, her YouTube videos, and she actually has a really amazing, actually hilarious Netflix special that I highly, highly recommend. So put that on your watch list on Netflix right now. Talking about courage and vulnerability and connection and everything that has to do with that, as well as the discernment around that. Okay, so recognizing that resilience, when we're talking about community, ultimately what we're talking about in community and in our own lives is about meaning. It's about the meaning that we assign and create around ourselves, our values, and our community. So when you're creating meaningful relationships, we all know and have the experience that is different than just simply creating relationships. When you are using meaning and creating meaning with any part of your life, from the things that you have to the friends that you make to the actions that you do, meaning adds purpose, and purpose creates resiliency. So thinking in terms of purpose and resiliency, meaning in relationships, and whatever you're doing, or whatever you surround yourself with, assigning meaning to it. You actually get to choose the meaning that you assign to things. So you can assign the meaning on our current situation, that the whole world is going downhill and we're all screwed, and why bother anyway? You can also assign the meaning to what's going on. Say, for example, staying home, you can assign the meaning to it that it's an inconvenience, it's really screwing up your life, it's going to create financial instability for you. And while all of those things may be true or have some version of truth, an alternate meaning that you can assign to it is that as a collective community right now, we are being called and given the opportunity to slow down, to look inside, to assess our values, to look at the things that are most important to us, and to understand ourselves and our lives in a whole new way that we never have before. So these are the self-inquiries, the conversations with yourself that I'm inviting you to have in order to create, I want to say, a positive mental attitude. But again, I don't want to say positive mental attitude in the sense of just like, oh, everything's fine, and just brushing off what is really going on in our lives and on our insides. Okay, so that positive mental attitude is one of the most important things you can have when that's taken in the right way. So ultimately, it's about the energy that you bring and the words that you use. So just being really mindful in the days that we're in right now about the words that you're using and the energy that's contained within or expressed by those words. Is it a uplifting energy, or is it a kind of soul-sucking energy? I mentioned on my last video that we did that the 3 C's, criticism, complaining, and competition for resources right now, are extremely non-conducive energies when we're talking about the words that we're using. Okay, so just really being mindful of, if you're criticizing other people or the way that people or organizations are doing things, just knowing that every single person is showing up in the best way that they can, and we are all doing our best to deal with this in the best way that we're able. When we're talking about criticism, the same thing, complaining about your current circumstances versus being vulnerable and sharing your concerns about the current circumstances. is different than complaining about them. Complaining is tending to put it outside of you, and being vulnerable and sharing your actual feelings about what's going on and your concerns about it is a way of making it more real, more positive, and actually cultivating more connection. And then competition, and this can be, you know, competition for resources, thinking there's not going to be enough in the world, I need to take it all for myself. And this can be, you know, competition in any way that you think about it. The best thing to do is to compete with your previous version of yourself, really, ultimately. So finally, when we're talking about resilience and community and connection and purpose, the final thoughts that I would like to leave you with, and before I do that, just a reminder, go to that Facebook group, the Optimizing Wellness. This is for people who are committed to maintaining their wellness and well-being. Go to that group so that we can create and foster community together, so we can be support for one another. Okay, so the final thing is the best way of creating resiliency for yourself is by having someone or something other than yourself, bigger than yourself, that you are doing this for. Okay, whether it's doing it so that your family can be happy and healthy, showing up in a way that you are a role model and an inspiration for them, having a charitable organization that you are donating money, time, sharing posts for them of their needs, doing something for something bigger for yourself. And, you know, even if it's just choosing to stay home because you are doing something for something bigger than yourself. That even if it would be more convenient to go out, knowing and honoring, you know, orders to stay home or suggestions to stay home, because you are doing something for something that's bigger than yourself. So really, the less we're focused on me and mine and getting what I need, as long as we have those baselines taken care of, if we really continue to think outside of ourselves and think, who and what am I doing this for, that I can support, versus looking for the support that I need solely. And the more and more we continue to surround ourselves with the people, the resources, the ideas, the thoughts, the energy, the words that support us in doing that, the more that we can continue to reach out and do more and look to be there for others, for something else, for a bigger purpose, bigger than ourselves. Okay, so those are some of my most relevant tips for resiliency and thriving. I hope these words are supportive to you during this time. If so, please share, let people know about future videos that we have coming out, future webinars and conference calls that we have coming out. And of course, please share this video with them as well. We're really grateful to be here for you as a support and to be able to continue to help you thrive during trying times. Thank you for joining. Dr. Lara Hill here, signing off.